Should be live. Yeah, we got a nice little solo dolo Danny Ladd himself. Bush is in Mexico, so he's chilling at the poolside. Obviously, in Mexico, mornings are when the majority of the weather is nice prior to it getting warm. So he's enjoying a nice little poolside in Mexico. You guys are stuck with me for the day, so hopefully you enjoy that. We're going to be tackling an underdog best ball big board at this point. So in a couple minutes, once a couple people file into here, we'll start that up and we'll see where we're picking from. So we got one question already from Jake. Appreciate that for being in the stream so early. He says, yo, traded Kyler 305 for 105 mid-2025 second. Superflex PPR start 11. He has Stroud, Burrow, Levis as his quarterbacks with the 103, the 5, the 9, and the 11. Thoughts? Quarterbacks are not valued as high in this league. This is the most I can get. Honestly, I'm cool with this deal in a super flex PPR start 11, unless you're assuming that Malik Neighbors is going to be gone by the 105. The way I understand this deal is you're doing this for a potential wide receiver at this point, whether that's Malik Neighbors or potentially the 105 pick plus the second can work you up to Malik Neighbors. If that's the case, I really do like your aspect here. You already have the stud quarterback core that you do. Taking the asset that is Kyler and try to get that comparable value at the wide receiver position I like. So yeah, 105 plus mid-second, Kyler plus 305. Kyler, I took in a recent startup that we did at the 206. The 105, aka Malik Neighbors, ended up going at, I believe, the 304. So the difference is very negligible. It's probably about a mid-second. So I feel like despite your league not valuing the quarterback position high, like you say, I think that's a really solid deal for you. What's up? What's up, Bobcat? What's up, Bobcat? Like seeing you in here. Yo, what's up, BSP? Stroud to Diggs, Nico, and Tank is great. Yeah, that's going to be a crazy trio. If you guys didn't see the thumbnail of today's stream, I actually ended up putting Stephon Diggs on there. It's really wild because I saw a lot of people, critiquing the deal both sides. Bills obviously top contender, losing their stud receiver. I don't mind the asset of the 2025 2 they get back, especially the Minnesota one, because it's going to figure probably in the 30 to 45 range, I would say, next year. And then from the aspect of the Texans, you're in a position now where CJ Stroud's on his rookie contract. You end up restructuring Stephon Diggs' deal to the point where if he leaves next year, you could most likely get a pretty high comp pick. Or if he does stay, you have that trio of wide receivers, especially for the cheap. Obviously, you're going to have to re-sign Nico Collins, but that's made up for with the fact that CJ Stroud is cheap and Tank Dell is cheap. So honestly, it's tough to say many teams that are in better situations right now, having the franchise quarterback, having the wide receivers they do than what the Texans are. So it's definitely optimistic if you're a Texans fan, especially with the whole fiasco you guys dealt with a few years back. What's up, Braden? What's up? What's up, Brian? What's the trade value of CMC? So I can actually tell you right now. So we are actually in a startup draft with our Flock subscribers right now. And I can tell you exactly where CMC went. So keep in mind, this is more so a pessimistic running back room. A lot of the people in this league tend to value the wide receivers, value the quarterback. I mean, you guys watch our content, so obviously you're going to value things relatively appropriately to how we do. So CMC ends up going at the 3.9. In most startups, he's probably about the 305, the 304. So in terms of trade value, I would say if you're selling CMC, it's probably just under two firsts this year. So I would say maybe the 108 plus the 111 or the 107 plus the 111 or something like that. I would say if you're in a running back avoidant type of room, but you could probably get a lot more for that if your league does like running backs. Thanks for the advice in the last DD video. Just hate that Kelsey didn't help at the end of the year too and stunk. Yeah, that's unlucky there, brother. It's unlucky. Higgins 204, 304 likely for Hawkinson, Sharp, and the 301. I want the Higgins side pretty comfortably here. I would much rather have Higgins to Hawkinson at this point, especially knowing the implications of the knee injury he suffered. And then the 204, the 304, unlikely for Charbonnet and the 301. I'd much rather have the picks there. Not too late to become a Texans fan, Danny. Yeah, no, I'll stick with my boys. Traded late third and fourth for Mayer midseason somehow. What's your outlook on him for the season? I would honestly say at this point with Michael Mayer, he is being completely disrespected. I understand that some recent tight ends, especially with Sam Laporta, Kincaid a little bit last year, Pitts obviously in his rookie year having over 1,000 yards, have been productive as rookies. But for the most part, like we've seen some very, very productive tight ends not have the great rookie seasons that we would expect. He's going into his second season now. Honestly, I can see him kind of having that Trey McBride type of path of development. This was a very productive freshman at Notre Dame. He was very productive throughout his college career. yes, it wasn't the rookie season we wanted, but he's going to be an opportunity now to potentially be the second or third target on that team. And if they get the quarterback upgrade at the draft, I'm excited for Michael Mayer. So if you can get him at depressed cost, which the 3rd and 4 is absolutely depressed cost, I'm taking that every time. What's your take on Fab? So if you guys don't know, this is a little bit of an inside joke. Ryan is in the Flock startup, and every one of his trades just involved like 5 Fab, 15 Fab, like 20 Fab going either way. And everybody in the league's just like roasting. It's like, come on, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing with this Fab over here, man? I agree. Fab is a must in a dynasty league. I just don't want to see it in every trade offer. Consider trading the 101 for 105, 106 and a 2025 first. It depends on the league. If it's like a start 8 to 10 and you need a quarterback, I would probably take Caleb. But if you're set at quarterback, let's just say, you have Stroud, maybe a guy like, Will Levis and like the 104 this year or something like that, and you want to add another quarterback at the 104 or the 103 hypothetically. At that point, if you're trading 101 for this is about appropriate trade value, I would say, because if you're equating it out, 105, 106 is some combination probably of Neighbors of Dunze, Jaden Daniels of Dunze, Drake May of Dunze, and then you're also pocketing that 2025 one. So I'm really comfortable moving off of Caleb for that if you have a set quarterback core, and if it's a start 10, start 11, start 12 plus league, where depth actually matters. So we will be starting the big board soon. 67 of you in here. If you guys want to get in, we'll time it up accordingly. So Spicy, if you can press the big board, and I'll just give a nice little 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 once we click the enter screen. So if you guys want to join, I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we will be entering. And it looks like we're nearly full. Oh, we are full, I guess. Apparently, are we full? I believe we are full. So hopefully you guys were able to time that in, synchronize it in, because we'll be having a nice little trade. Is it an over ask to trade down from 101 to 103 in a 2025 first? What would you kick back, if any? If you're equating this out, so I mean, to be fair, in the startup that we did specifically, the 103 went very, very close with the 101. But typically, in terms of valuation on the market, you usually see the 101, aka Caleb, going roughly between the 107 and the 107 and 110 in most leagues. Whereas the 103 asset, it does go 2-1 in the startup we're in, but typically we usually see it as a mid to late second. So, 2025 first is probably about appropriate based on market value. Again, given how I have Drake May valued, I would actually rather have the 103 plus the 2025 one. But in most leagues, with how people value Caleb, with how people value the 101, with how pessimistic people are on Drake May, that should be a swingable deal. Flowers or Reed plus a late second. I mean, at this point, Flowers and Reed are relatively equivalent in terms of market value for the most part. Like Flowers, obviously, I'd value a little bit higher, but Reed is not too far off. If this is a shallow league, I would rather have Flowers. If this is a league that's like, start 11, start 12, start 13, where depth actually matters, I'm fine with liquidating Flowers for this cost because they had relatively comparable rookie seasons from a per game standpoint when they got the opportunity. So yeah, you just pocket the second. How many are we waiting on in this? This is pretty wild. So is it all filled? Refresh your screen, maybe. Refresh the screen. Maybe it put us in. Yeah. Oh, thank God I told us to refresh. Yeah, no, it just started right away. So first pick, we do see McCaffrey. Second pick, we see Tyreek Hill. I'm assuming this guy probably goes with CeeDee Lamb. For the most part, that's the typical 1, 2, 3 we see in a lot of these redraft mock drafts at this point. A lot of these drafts, I mean, they just have the cleanest projections. McCaffrey, obviously the head of the running back position. Tyreek Hill, what he did at wide receiver last year. CeeDee Lamb with the youth, with the pairing with Dak Prescott, obviously over 1,700 yards last year. That's why he's going to be going top 3 as well. So pretty chalk for a top 3 thus far. We do have the 109, so I'm kind of seeing, maybe an Amon falls, maybe one of the running backs fall. We'll see what that board looks like from a texture standpoint at that point. I have a wide receiver room of JJ, CeeDee Lamb, and Amon St. Brown. Would you try and swap CMC for Breece? If you can get Breece Hall straight up in exchange for McCaffrey, I would much rather have Breece Hall in Dynasty. As much as I like McCaffrey, especially from a redraft standpoint, McCaffrey is still a 28-year-old running back. Like he's not, not far off of, being valued with the Derrick Henry, with the Aaron Joneses of the world of elite running backs that see a value tick when they're not giving you that top end, top 3 overall production at running back. If McCaffrey has a down year, which again, I'm not saying McCaffrey is going to have a down year. He's obviously a Hall of Fame talent. He's in arguably the best offense in the NFL. Like I'm not projecting him to fall off, but what I'm saying is he's a more volatile asset on the market because if he does fall off to even say RB7 in points per game next year, we're talking about a guy that's probably a 6th or 7th round startup pick at that point. Whereas when you're talking about Breece Hall, if he was the RB6 next year, he would still be a 2nd round startup pick. So I would definitely go with Breece Hall there. Evan Ingram is the best value in Dynasty. If you're a productive team, you can get him for, like a mid to late second. I think that's the appropriate value for him. I am curious to see because obviously, he had the targets last year, more target competition last year with Calvin Ridley. So we'll see if he can hold that type of target value. But for the most part, I don't know. He's a guy, if I'm a productive team, I'm cool with taking. But for the most part, I'm not going to overvalue, if that kind of makes sense. Amon-Ra is the top of the board here, by the way, Spicy. If he goes, refresh the... Yeah, okay, perfect. We're good. Okay, so this does seem like kind of a tier break. Can we check the running backs here? I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the pick, but yeah, like I love Puka as well. I think I'm going to go with Gibbs. Give me Puka. I changed my mind. I saw the running backs in the 2nd round. I'm like, yeah, I changed my mind, but fuck, man, that's a tough choice. I will say so far, 101 to 103 kind of seems like a tier in itself. 104 to 108, I do think is kind of a tier. As much as I like Puka Nacua, I just think Amon-Ra, Bijan, Jefferson, Breece Hall kind of project better. And then it's, Puka, Garrett Wilson, the other running backs kind of in this area. So, yeah. Yeah, fire away with some comments if you guys have some, whether it's Dynasty, whether it's in relation to, potentially underdog drafts, whatever the case may be. Feel free to leave them down below. I'll attack them during this draft. But we do see Jahmyr Gibbs go off the board to DW12, and we do see that S. George and Larry both have these turn picks, so we'll see what direction they lean. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously the thumbnail of the deal, we were talking a little bit about that Texans-Bills deal. The Texans, man, like they're doing a great job just supporting their young quarterback. And it's so funny looking back because obviously at the NFL draft, people are like, what are they doing? They're trading their future 1st round pick in 2024 to move up for Will Anderson. Like they're going to be, the 101 again next year. What's going to happen? And then obviously, now we're looking back literally a year later from when that happened. And we're talking about arguably the best setup team for the long-term future, especially with a fringe, top 5 to 8 level quarterback in the league with the weapons that they do, improving defense there with Will Anderson, who looked like a budding potential superstar in the next couple of years. Like they got a bright future for sure. The Stroud's weapons make him the 101 in Superflex. No, because Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes exist. They are, in my opinion, the 2 best quarterbacks on the planet. Obviously, for fantasy, Josh Allen has been the quarterback 1 in fantasy in terms of points per game for the last couple of years. And Patrick Mahomes is so insulated on the market because he is just the real life best quarterback potentially of all time that the production is going to be at least comparable, if not higher. Obviously, he is risk averse because he's the best quarterback on the planet, and he's going to be paired with Andy Reid still. So I do still have those as my top 2 players. At that point, if you want to argue, Stroud versus like I'm cool with people say like I would rather have Stroud to Lamar, Stroud to Hurts, Stroud to Burrow, Stroud to Herbert, and he should be the 103. I'm cool if you want to make that claim. I think him or Lamar are relatively close for me, but if you want to say he's the clear 103 because of the age factor, I'm not going to fight you on it. Is basically where I'm at with him. That deal reeks for Houston. Honestly, I don't mind the restructure at all, to be honest. I'll get into it in a second. We will make our pick. So Saquon Barkley does stick out here. Marv is slightly rising in ADP. Love to see that. I think Saquon Barkley has to be the pick, especially knowing that we went with Puka in the 1st round. And that was part of the reason why I went with Puka in the 1st round, knowing that Barkley or like a Kyron or someone like that would potentially fall back. Also, we are seeing implications here. Can you check London where his ADP usually is? Can you click on DW's team? It'll show his ADP. Yeah, so let me see here. So it has risen to 17.9 with the Kirk signing. And I still have people that think that Drake London's overvalued in Dynasty. It's like, how can he be overvalued in Dynasty when he's a fringe top 12 wide receiver going in the top 18 overall picks of redraft, man. Like, we're talking about a guy that commands upwards of 30% of the targets with a Kirk Cousins upgrade. Like, we got to adjust our expectations, man. We got to adjust our expectations. But going back to the deal for Houston, I actually do like the restructure, like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, because either he doesn't play as well of a player that was declining already last year. Matt Harmon already just posted his reception perception, 77th percentile, I believe, against man, falling percentiles across the board. Like, he wasn't the true separator last year compared to his dominant start of Buffalo tenure. So maybe he's declining as a player. Now Houston, they don't have as much risk there. Obviously, the term on the previous deal was going to be a big hindrance if he had fallen off. Now it's a 1-year deal. He plays well. You either re-sign him or you sell out for a comp pick, whether that's a 2 or a 3, in 2026, and you give CJ Stroud a year to potentially contend for the AFC, or he's not good. You maybe bring him back on a discount, or you just cut your loose ends there and you don't have to deal with that 3-year contract. So I will say, yeah, 2025 too, it seems a little bit expensive. I do like the Bills liquidating more. I think about it at that cost, knowing that it's probably going to be a top 30 to 45 pick. But it is fascinating what the Bills are going to potentially do to replace that wide receiver. What's a fair cost to move up from the 109, 110 to the 106, 107? So if we're doing that in terms of equation of startup cost, I do think you're going to add a sizable chunk, in my opinion. So for reference, the 107 in the startup that we're currently in just went at the 406 overall. So the 107 rookie pick, 406 in terms of the startup cost. If I were to guess the 109, 110, we're probably looking at roughly 6th round picks. So the difference there is probably about, if I were to equate it, at least an early 2, probably another late 1, to be honest. Like, if you're moving up from the 109 to the 106, it's probably going to cost the 109 and the 112, knowing how top heavy the top 8, in my opinion, are in terms of rookie picks, with JJ McCarthy, Roma Dunze, Brock Bowers, and then obviously the top 5 being, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, and Caleb Williams. So to get into that tier, I do think it should cost a pretty penny, especially in, start 11 or under type of leagues. If you're start 12, start 13, depth matters more. I understand it being a little bit cheaper, but especially in smaller starting lineups, like, it should cost a good amount, I would say. Traded Hawk, Hollywood Brown, and Downs for Pittman, Engram, James Conner, and 306. What you think? So that is okay. Let's equate this out. So Hawk, more or less, honestly, like, I would prefer Hawk to Engram, but if we're talking about maybe Hawk equals Engram plus Conner, or Hawk equals Engram plus, there's probably somewhere around there. It's not, exactly equivalent, but it's the best we can do here. For Hollywood Brown, Downs in exchange for Pittman and the other asset here. It's pretty fair. If you wanted the upgrade at wide receiver, I don't mind it, but I probably would have holded, knowing that Hollywood Brown's value, the more that Rashid Rice's legal implications play in, could have probably netted you, 110% value maybe within the next couple of weeks. I think this is about fair value, and I think you probably could have gotten a little bit more, knowing the buzz around Hollywood, at least prior to the NFL draft. So 101 for Lamb fair. I need a quarterback bad. Have Cousins and Geno. Ideally, I would want more for Lamb, but no one is willing to trade a quarterback without one coming back. That's about equivalent value. I would say I personally would obviously take Lamb on face value. And maybe if you can, see if you can get a second attached here. But if you have Cousins and Geno, you need a quarterback clearly really bad. Caleb Williams goes about the 110, 111 in startups, possibly a little bit earlier in some rooms. Lamb, a guy I have, ranked around my 107 and 108. If you were to make this move, I don't think it's egregious, is basically what I'm referring to. Big trade in our league, Olave, Brown, and Love for Jefferson, 103, 205. Which side would you want to be on? So for equating this out, Jefferson, honestly, Jefferson probably equals, it's tough to say. Jefferson plus the 205 probably equals Love and Brown, I would say. And then Olave for the 103, I would rather have the 103. So I like making this consolidation move for Jefferson, assuming you're good at quarterback. We are on the clock, by the way, now. Let me just see the wide receiver position here, Spicy. So is Malik Neighbors gone? I believe so. Okay. Maybe check running back or Laporta. Probably Laporta. We're running out of some time here. Probably just go Laporta. I feel comfortable about it. Get some Laporta. Never bad with a nice little Laporta. We'll definitely need a wide receiver at the next pick, unfortunately. So Malik Neighbors, yeah, he went, what was that, 28th overall to Vidor Dave? Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I do think this is about the range he should be coming off the board. So, just a good player. It's funny because the last draft we did, the debate was Neighbors versus Mike Evans, and Neighbors went a pick after Evans in that draft. Neighbors also goes a pick after Evans in this draft. So, a little fun correlation there. We'll go to wide receiver here quickly, because definitely we can't go with another running back or another onesie at this point. Honestly, like, is Rome going to make it back? I doubt it. Do I want to? Yeah, we could go with Kirk later too. Honestly, the most comfortable I feel of these wide receivers, it's probably Rome, but it feels a little bit early to make that pick. We'll see what's available back at 40. Maybe a couple more wide receivers go. It's more easy to stomach, but I think I'm liking Rome the more I look at him on this board. Curtis Samuel's going to be good for best ball. Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with the spike week potential he kind of brings to the table. And I think he's a more consistent player than Gabe Davis was. So I like that take. 2 questions for a 12-team Superflex PPR. Start 10. Okay. Mooney plus 208 to get Ridley. If I tear down from Burrow to T-Law, is Pickens enough of a return or should I expect more? So first things first, in a start 10, I'm cool with making this deal for Ridley if you're a competitive team. This is about equivalent market value, I would say. And in terms of Burrow to T-Law, I would personally need more than Pickens to make that downgrade, to be honest. I'm a little bit lower on both comparatively to Bush. And as much as I like Pickens, I do feel like given the market value of Burrow, you should be able to get a little bit more, whether that's like a first-round pick, whether that's, a more established contending wide receiver. I'd probably do that. Okay. Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, like it's either Higgins or Rome. We'll go Higgins. I don't know if I have the balls. That's close. I'm cool with Rome though. If you can't get it off, that's fine. Yeah, we do have the balls. Let's go. The only thing there is like I feel like he might fall in some rooms, but honest to God, like once Rome Odunze gets the draft capital, he will. Big physical X wide receiver is going to land in a situation either with elite quarterback contingency or with elite target opportunity there, whether that's the Chargers, whether that's the Cardinals, whether that's the New York Giants, whether that's the Tennessee Titans, who maybe is the worst quote-unquote landing spot in terms of both available opportunity with DeAndre Hopkins there and comparable quarterbacks there versus the Chargers with Herbert and obviously the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. But I love all of those spots. And obviously, I've mentioned it before, I am a big Will Levis believer. I do feel like at this current market value, they're doing everything in their power to help him succeed. Bringing in the offensive coordinator from Cincinnati, Brian Callahan, implementing that offense over there. Bringing in Bill Callahan, his obviously his father, to run the offensive line on what was arguably the worst offensive line in the league last year. And he showed a lot of glimpses, man. So you got another weapon here potentially for him, whether that's, Joe Alt at 7 or whether that's, of course, our guy here, Rome Odunze, where that's his quote-unquote worst landing spot. I'm really cool with making that pick. When you have 7 of the top 14 picks in Dynasty, are you willing to draft all of them? I would very likely try to trade at least for future picks or possibly players with some of those picks. I mean, it depends. If it's like, 101 to 107, nobody's offering you, fair market value. And at that point, you're just taking the 7 best rookies. That's one thing. But like, if you're getting fair market value on some of those picks, I definitely would be wary of spending all of them, knowing just how much liquidity they could be able to get you at the draft, whether that's future capital or whether that's potential players to help you succeed this season from a production standpoint. Puka, Monty, or Gibbs in Hollywood, 12-man start 11. So I would slightly rather have Puka to Gibbs, and I would still rather have Monty to Hollywood. So give me Puka and Monty here. I'll walk alone. JJ Fire 45 says, in Superflex 1.5 tight end premium, what can you trade 2024 107 for to help with tight end and quarterback position? So right off the bat, 107, I would need to be able to get Sam Laporta, to be honest. The reason being is I have Brock Bowers slightly higher than Trey McBride in my dynasty rankings, and more than likely the 107 should be able to net you Brock Bowers. So to be honest, if you need tight end, I'm cool with just sticking and picking at 107 to take Brock Bowers. However, if this is implying that, JJ McCarthy and Brock Bowers are going to be gone by the 107, At that point, I would try to see if somebody's willing to pay the piper for a Roma Dunze, to be honest. If you can sell Roma Dunze, like I said, maybe somebody's willing to give you Trey McBride plus, or maybe you are able to transition that pick into a tier above JJ at quarterback. Let's just say hypothetically, like, can that get you, maybe that can get you Dak Prescott? I would say 107 more or less on the market should be able to get you Dak if you're a competitive team. If you need quarterback, that's the type of target I'd be willing to go get. I have 3 1s and 6 2s, 201, 205, 208, 210, 211, 212, and a super flex start 9. So I packaged some of these 2s to move up for a core starter like a wide receiver 1 looking to compete in 2025. And a start 9, that's absolutely what I'm willing to do here. If you have 6 2s and a start 9, I'm trying to consolidate there, especially the later ones. Like, can 211 and the 212 get me the 203? You know what I mean? Like, I'm making those types of moves, or potentially trying to see if 201 plus the 212 can get me a pick back into the first round, to be honest. Like, that's what I'm going to do with these picks, trying to see if you could upgrade into first or upgrade it into earlier seconds, because you really don't need to make all 6 of these second round picks, in my opinion. We're going to be back on the clock, and I believe we agree, if assuming balling out doesn't take our pick here, where we're going to be leaning spicy. If not, we're going to have to make a contingency. So scroll down the board, because you know where I'm looking here. He goes Jaden Reed, so we go Christian Kirk. You know exactly where I was looking in there. Yeah. Doesn't feel the greatest taking Laporta so much ahead of the other tight ends, but at the same time, given the context of the board, I really do feel like the 3-4 turn, you kind of have to take stabs here, because if you look at the board here, Spicy, can you go to the board view? If you can see here, so we got Sam Laporta at 33. The next tight end off the board was, it's 39, Kelsey, I believe. Oh, so Kelsey went on the next turn. Okay, I'm chilling. I thought the next closest tight end was McBride. Kelsey actually ended up going really early there. Fair play. Oh, Bush is having fun in Mexico. Yeah, he's chilling poolside right now, having a good time. He deserved it. He's been working hard. I got to experience a nice Raptors game to get the time out. You know, it's all about prioritizing the mentals, man. Like, honestly, having a good time. How do you feel about having Purdy, Goff, and 103 as your quarterback room in a 12-team start 9 super flex? It's a little, like, it's got obviously great depth, I would say, but there's no clear number 1 tier 1 starter, I would say. So in this position, again, like, it's a solid quarterback core, but if the opportunity arises where whether you can package a future first with Purdy to move up or something like that, at that point, I definitely would be willing to upgrade it at some point if I have the opportunity to. So we're going to be back on the clock here at 64. If we're looking at some of the wide receivers. So Ridley's pretty solid at this price. I would say he's probably the leader. So Brian Thomas says go. I was going to say that would be the other one. I love grabbing Calvin Ridley here, especially knowing we could potentially get Roma Dunze to the Titans, like I mentioned, and Will Levis is such an affordable stack later on. Yeah, no, I'm all for this. Yeah, like we have some nice little potential stacks we can roll out here. The quarterbacks are flying off the board. We do see CJ Stroud going above Patrick Mahomes in this draft room. Someone had mentioned it earlier. Is he the 101 in Superflex draft? I would not do that, but I understand why he's obviously a big riser. Like, he's going, like Spicy's outlining, 12 picks after Jalen Hurts. 17 picks after Lamar Jackson, 4 picks before Patrick Mahomes. Definitely going to be steamed up the board. And I'm curious, where is Stephon Diggs available, or where did he go in this mock? Probably went earlier, right? Yeah. Oh, wow. He's 210. Holy Christ. I cannot get there. So you're telling me he goes to a worse quarterback with more target competition and his ADP is rising? I can't get on board with that. I can't get on board there. McBride for Reed, 10-man Superflex. This is McBride. It's not really that close for me, to be honest, especially in a 10-man. All right. Let's see. So that guy's got 2 running backs there with Bijan and Waddle. Yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs, yeah, you're outlining kind of like the receivers he went above. He went above DJ Moore. He went above Debo, Olave, Evans, Neighbors. Like, are we forgetting that Diggs wasn't looking like the same player last year, was literally going cheaper when he was still on the Bills, tethered to Josh Allen, and really not much for target competition? And now, again, as good as CJ Stroud is, Josh Allen's a better quarterback. He's going to a worse quarterback situation with Nico Collins and with Tank Dell and with Dalton Schultz, who was extended already there. Now, obviously, Stephon Diggs, if he gets back to the caliber of player that we expect him to, could be worth that pick. But at the same time, it's not baking in enough risk that he never gets back to that Buffalo prime level. So at the 210, especially over receivers and, set situations or young promising rookies like a guy like Malik Neighbors, I can't pull the trigger here. Like if I had to pull the trigger on Stephon Diggs, it'd probably have to be as probably a 4th round pick, to be honest. Like I'd need to get him at that 3-4 turn about where I got Sam Laporta. Like got in my head, if I had to make the choice right now, would I rather have Stephon Diggs next year or Sam Laporta? Like I think that's about the conversation. I had 5,250 and 40 tugs as quarterback 1 in 2022. It's unreal, bro. It's unreal. Start 10. Yeah, I would definitely take McBride there still, David. Nico went before him too. Yeah, where did Nico go? So wait, so the Texans had 2 second-round receivers go here, and then Tank Dell was also a 4th rounder? Oh, wow. Okay. I would much rather have Nico to Stephon Diggs. I'm going to get that straight. But the fact that there's only, a 5-pick discrepancy to them, and they both go in the 2nd round, like I'd probably value Nico closer to, the 2-3 turn area and Stephon Diggs more so in the 4th round. On top of that, where did Tank Dell go in this draft? Did he go in the 4th? He went in the 4th, I believe, right? Or the 5th, maybe early 5th. Yeah, he went in the 4th, man. So CJ Stroud could be God, but that doesn't mean that all 3 of those wide receivers, all taken in the top 4 rounds, are going to pay off. That's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Would 308 get McBride in the trade above? I would still much rather have McBride the asset to Reed personally. I like Reed, but I think Trey McBride has pretty much cemented himself as a top 3 tight end in Dynasty, whereas Reed is like a top 30 wide receiver, top 35 wide receiver. So it's just about playing that game. Can we see what the board is available? By the way, Christian Watson going. I was hoping to get him a little bit later on. Nice to see people are bouncing back in. Dak is just such a fucking value in the 7th round, but we don't need a quarterback. Probably got to go with another receiver here unless there's a screaming value at running back. Can we check the receiver board unless it's complete piss? Go up here. I do like AD here. It's a little bit early. I think we can wait. Is that the top receiver available? We'll wait to our next pick. Go back to running back. Ramondre is sticking out like a sore thumb. I like Ramondre there. I do like Ramondre. Getting a little 7-9 Ramondre feels nice, to be honest. Feels nice. Brock Bowers going to be had a nice value, but then again, you do have the rookie tight end dilemma there. AD Mitchell would be the pick if he falls back here, I would say. Because we got both the Titans. We could potentially, Tony Pollard wasn't even available at our pick. If Tony Pollard was available, we could have ran that Titans correlation. Can you start a couple quarterbacks as well, Spicy? So Levis is definitely one of them. Levis is definitely one. He is super late. We can get him big time late. The other one for sure, I would say probably Matthew Stafford could be our quarterback 2. And then we would need one anchor. So go up to the top of the board. Just want to see. So like if Dak falls back and AD is gone, we could take Dak with this upcoming pick. If not, we could potentially wait for like Kyler or something like that. I'd be cool with. All right. So we got that kind of mapped out. Jahmyr Gibbs for Rice, 201, 204 in a 2025 second complete rebuild. No, I can't do that. Especially with the implications of Rice right now. Like, you have to be getting at least 1st round capital in this deal for me to consider that, to be honest. I love Rice, and I think he's a great player, but knowing that the market is volatile on him right now and knowing how cemented Jahmyr Gibbs is at the running back position, like you're going to need to at least get 1st round liquidity to make it worth the gamble, I would say. But we do go with Ramondre. Cortland goes right after. Najee, Swift, and Njoku. Very interesting here. How many teams before us here pick quarterback, Spicy? So like balling out to Baby Pigeon. I kind of want to see how many quarterbacks are off the board. I see 3 right there. I know one of them has Josh Allen. So yeah, go up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Does Jacked Up have one? It just looks like he's drafting receivers. Josh Allen. Okay, so there is roughly 2 or 3 teams there that don't have a quarterback, so we can kind of play it out. Are we going to draft after this one? I believe Spicy has work right after this, so he's going to head out. So depending on timing, maybe I mix in a dynasty mock or something like a dynasty rookie mock. But realistically, we're most likely just going to be doing this one and heading out. And with that being said, Dak is here. AD is also here. I think we play the quarterback game. I go AD here and see what quarterback falls back between Dak, Love, and Kyler Murray. It is a little bit of a gamble, but we do have our 2 and 3 correlations already set out later on. So worst case scenario, if we miss out on this tier, we already know this is a 3 quarterback build. So I'm not too upset about it. Plus, with AD Mitchell, I really do feel like he's the type of player that can see ascending value. On top of that, if we do end up getting Dak, there's still the outside possibility that AD Mitchell could be the wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys next year if he falls to that 24th pick. So, yeah, opens up some potential value gain here because I do think AD Mitchell, obviously a volatile player on tape, but the high end is so high end, and especially from a best ball half PPR setting with the size, with the speed he brings to the perimeter for a high end offense that could potentially take him. I feel like it's worth the gamble at this 8-4 because I could see this guy potentially being a 7th round pick, 6th round pick, depending on the landing spot he gets, especially if he goes to like the Bills or the Cowboys. So Jake Ferguson does go. Looks like Chapper is probably going to wrap back and take Dak. Sadly, I believe here. I would be shocked if he passes on Dak if he makes it back. So it looks like we probably will not be getting Dak Prescott. Unfortunate, but potentially maybe Kyler Murray. On top of that, we mentioned the Titans correlation of Rome Odunze, Calvin Ridley, potentially Levis later on. There's still also the possibility, by the way, Dak does go. So also the possibility that Rome Odunze could be a Cardinals trade up. The Cardinals could trade down from the 4th overall pick, maybe to the 11 with the Minnesota Vikings, trade back up to 8 or 9. If we do get Kyler Murray, it opens up the opportunity to potentially get that stack. So very interesting here. Have Kyler, AR-15, and Stafford. If Bowers is off the board, would you take McCarthy and sell Stafford for McBride and a piece in a 10-man superflex? If you can get McBride plus for Stafford, I would do that every single time. In my opinion. Especially knowing that you have Kyler and AR-15. Absolutely. That Gibbs trade was before the trouble with Rice. That makes sense. Yeah. It's tough with the timing. I think at the time it was probably a fair deal, but obviously with the timing of the legal stuff, it kind of left you a little bit out there. I mean, even with the legal trouble, it's not the worst I've seen because you still have 3 leverage opportunities there with the 201, the 204, in the future too. But I will say, obviously, with the hindsight, now that we have that Rice is dealing with the legal stuff, obviously, you could have gotten a little bit more value your way if you had made that deal afterwards. We do see Nick Chubb go off the board. It's pretty interesting. Nick Chubb, I would much rather have over Zamir White. Zamir White obviously going to get steamed up right now because they don't have backfield competition. The Raiders, to me, seem like the prime Trey Benson landing spot. Like, I would be shocked if he made it back past that pick, to be honest. Especially knowing they haven't really added much. They added Alexander Madison, but you don't have a set backfield, in my opinion, a set true number 1 in that backfield. And this is a team that's shown historically that they love having that one, hammer main back. So I can definitely see whether that's a Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks going to the Raiders there. Even Jonathan Brooks, I've already mentioned Trey Benson, but Jonathan Brooks, maybe they want Madison and Zamir White initially. Jonathan Brooks coming back from the ACL. They maybe bring him on a little bit, slowly. I could see that being the case. So we do see Dak and Jordan Love both go. Hopefully Kyler can make it to our pick. That would be great. If not, let's get some guys in the queue there, Spicy. So right now we are rocking, what is that? What is our build right now? We have a 0-2-5-1. So we have 5 wide receivers. I would say Kyler at quarterback, I would definitely star. Trey Benson, if he falls back, would be really – Trey Benson doesn't fall back because Dave goes with him here. We would have to scroll down next, I would say. Ideally, we can get the quarterback here. If not, we probably have to take a running back. The board is kind of gross at the running back position, though. Wow, Trey Benson was sticking out like a sore thumb. Jonathan Brooks would be my next running back, to be honest. Even if he comes along later, we still have Saquon Barkley and Ramondre. We can still fill out the position. Yeah. So Caleb does go before Kyler. That is really interesting. I don't know if I can go there. We'll see. We'll see if Kyler can make it back to us. Because I was gonna say, Caleb might hypothetically be the other. I mentioned Kyler. I mentioned Will Levis to potentially get the stack for Rome Odunze. There's still the possibility that the Chicago Bears could end up with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze at that 9th overall pick. So opens you up to more opportunity. I would say if Kyler does not fall. Wow. It probably has to be Jonathan Brooks here. Probably has to be Jonathan Brooks. Let me just take a look. So wide receivers, there's nothing sticking out. Jonathan Brooks is the clear best running back, I would say. Yeah, it feels gross having to reach 14 picks here, but there's just not much else I would probably lean, to be honest. Like I think I can get like Lab McConkey to fall back. Plus, we're already set at wide receiver, so I'm gonna go Jonathan Brooks here. Go Jonathan Brooks, and then we're gonna have to go cheap at quarterback. Can you click the quarterback position? I want to see what type of anchor we can get at QB1 here. Herbert is still available. Okay. Well, that's the other possibility, is the Chargers potentially getting Rome. So I'm gaslighting myself into potentially getting a stack for Rome Odunze here. Regardless, I mean, Herbert going as the quarterback 14, I just think is too cheap. We could also wait for Trevor as well, depending who falls back, because we do have Christian Kirk. That's another option. I don't mind waiting for Lawrence either. Get him in the queue as well. We'll kind of see what the board looks like at the next pick. What tight ends are available as well, just to see if we could potentially make this a 2 build. So do we have any correlation here? I mean, we do have Philly correlation, but Goddard's kind of a little bit overvalued, and we don't have Hurts. Okay, I'll keep that in the back pocket. Probably wait at tight end 2 and 3. It's probably a 3 build. I like getting Jonathan Brooks there too, especially because we have Barkley and Ramondre for the early portion of the season. So we see Curtis Samuel do go off the board, Brian Robinson, Romeo Doubs. Okay, all right. Damn, Trey Benson would have been really nice too. If MHA and Neighbors are gone, I really hope Odunze doesn't make it past the Giants at 6. Man, like he's the most disrespected receiver in this class. Like to me, he is much closer to the top 2 than 4 is to him. But we're hearing a lot of stuff about how, he, that has a bad production profile. He was bad on contested catches before this year, and now this is an outlier. He's catching balls from Penix. Like, turn on the tape, man. This guy is absolutely dominant, to be honest. And I ended up grading him with a 90 as a top 10 overall talent. For reference, Malik Neighbors got a 91. Marvin Harrison Jr. got a 96. So, he is that type of talent that I do not want to miss out on. Trevor Lawrence does go here. Does that guy have Jaguar? He must have Evan Ingram, right? We'll check in a second. We could just take Herbert here. I think that's a pretty safe pick. No, that guy just took a naked. Is he naked? Yeah. Wow, he took a naked T-Law. Interesting. I'll take a naked Herbert then. Yeah, appreciate all of you in here watching. 144 following along. If you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like. And of course, if you guys are watching, I'm talking throughout these drafts. If you guys have dynasty questions, big board questions, NFL draft questions, hell, life questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll get through as many as possible. But we do see Jacoby Myers go with the next pick to Balling Out. I believe Balling Out actually may be a follower of the channel, so appreciate that if he is, if I do remember. Khalil Shakir goes off the board now. Yeah, I mean, as much as like Kyler, like, it would have been nice if he had fallen. I do think Herbert is quite the consolation at this point. So we take that. Plus, I mean, not to mention, if we're projecting it, we could still backdoor. Like, can we look at the Chargers, to search Chargers into the search here? Just kind of see what type of backdoor correlation we could build. I mean, Gus Edwards, next pick wouldn't be terrible. Yeah, Palmer at 140 is okay. Definitely fading QJ at that cost. I'd rather have Palmer. I mean, Gus Edwards is solid too, I would say. And again, you're running the risk they take a running back. I understand why he's valued there. Yeah, fair. So we'll look at Gus at potentially the next pick. Maybe a guy like Josh Palmer, rookie wide receivers later on. We're rolling. That's what I'm saying. G-men need a receiver bad, and I'll gauge my eyes out if we take another O-line. Yeah, fuck, man. It's at that point, like if you're the Giants, like it's got to be, wide receiver or quarterback if the right one falls, right? Like obviously, it's probably just going to end up being receiver because I think the quarterback's going to be gone by then anyways. But it's just funny how that works. We do see Jalen Wright and Jaden Daniels go on the turn with the guy that had Worthy already. So like the upside of those rookies. I honestly feel like at this point, the rookies are the most misappropriated on the market right now because the upside that they bring in the right spots are tremendous. Like we're talking about Jalen Wright. If he gets the opportunity to be a lead running back somewhere, maybe that's, Go second round to Cincinnati. Maybe you go second round to the Cowboys. Maybe go second round to the Raiders. Like I mentioned some of those spots for Brooks and Benson. I really do feel like there's a good path towards playing time for a lot of these guys. Loud McConkey going does sting a lot because I was really hoping he had made it back too. I forgot he was on the board. Can we see what the rest of the running back and wide receivers in particular look like, Spicy? Because we kind of have our D at quarterback. We may have to take Stafford relatively soon, like maybe at not this pick, but the pick after. So we'll keep that in mind. Gus Edwards, obviously, I mentioned before, is a solid pick. Wide receivers, like we're falling off a little bit down the board here. I think we just wait on a guy like Leggett, maybe. We just wait on him. Okay. So we can wait at wide receiver. What rookie running backs are there? Just other than Gus. So if we go down here, Marshawn Lloyd, Braylon Allen. I don't like Braylon. Okay. Yeah, Gus Edwards is probably the best one there. I don't mind mixing him in at this cost. Bucky, yeah. So like the top three are clearly gone. And I think Estime is buried down the board. So I would just rather wait on them because he's literally my RB4. So looks like we'll just go with a guy like Gus Edwards here. I think that's pretty solid. I think that is pretty solid. Gives us the correlation too for the Chargers offense. Hopefully he doesn't go here. We do see a couple of tight ends go. TJ Hawkinson's a fascinating case because obviously the ACL injury, you're banking on the replacement value production that he's going to be able to give you, or value over replacement production that he's going to be giving you when he gets back is going to be so good. But the problem there obviously is we don't know when he's going to be back. So 11th round, I think, is a worthwhile gamble. We do get Gus Edwards there. I think that's a solid pick. And now we just need one more piece to potentially get that LA Chargers correlation there. So I like what we got set up. Look what we got set up. Josh Palmer, yeah, that's pretty solid later on. I will say Stafford probably has to be the pick, assuming he makes it back, and then we wait on Will Levis for the QB3. Having Laporta obviously gives us a luxury to potentially punt tight end to a little later on, maybe towards a rookie like Ben Sinnott, maybe to a guy like Greg Dulcich. We can definitely wait later on, I would say, for that tight end 2 position, having Laporta in there. I mean, fair too. I just realized, like, if Stafford does go here, Jared Goff is also available. We could also potentially do that. So we have multiple options, and Goff just goes with the pick, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Hopefully Stafford does make it back, giving us that stack with Puka. So we'll see what happens here. What pick would you want back to reroll in a 1 QB? For who are you referring to exactly, P-Walk? What pick would you want back to reroll in a 1 quarterback for who? You're talking about for Kelsey? For Kelsey in a 1 quarterback, I mean, any first-round pick is an instant smash. It's probably going to be like a mid-second, early second of value. Like, and people might say, well, what are you talking about? You're completely discounting Travis Kelsey. It's like, I don't think I am, man. This draft class is phenomenal, and we're talking about a tight end that may retire after this season. So if that's what you're referring to, that's definitely how I view Godwin. Okay, so Godwin, I mean, if we're equating it out, it's probably about equivalent value to Kelsey. So I would say I would rather have Leggett over him. I'd rather have Worthy over him. Like, we're probably talking about the same range. If you can get a mid-second round pick, I'd be cool making that move, I would say. We're about to be back on the clock, and Stafford sticks out like a sore thumb, so we lock him up here. And the only way I consider QJ is if he falls back to the next pick, but realistically, I'm going with a different direction majority of the time. So see what happens. I like what we kind of got built out here. We wait a little bit at quarterback, get some value there with Herbert, with Stafford, and then potentially Levis, which, funny enough, like if you were to, equate like a quarterback triangle of like high level, next level, and then low level, it's kind of like the Stafford, Herbert, Levis train, if you will, big armed pocket quarterbacks. I would say obviously Herbert's the top level, Stafford right after him, Levis the low level at that tier, but they're kind of, the same archetype, if that makes sense. Just saw a Mixon share at 108. ADPs are crazy. Yeah, 108th overall. It's probably about where Mixon should find his way. NFL draft, 3 quarterbacks. MHA does LA Chargers trade Herbert to Minnesota and draft McCarthy. I would be shocked. I don't think financially it works out. I don't think the Minnesota, despite getting the extra first round pick, has enough draft capital. And to be honest, I feel like Jim Harbaugh took the job because Justin Herbert was there. So I feel like it's a lot of talk. Obviously, people are going to make the connection. His college quarterback at Michigan there with McCarthy had a lot of success, only lost one game, won the national champion. I mean, I'm a Michigan fan. I saw it literally since day one, that combination. But at the same time, I do feel like it's Justin Herbert. Like he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. So, yeah. Xavier Legette does go. Damn, I was hoping he made it back. What was this ADP? Click on Legette there, Spicy, because he has to be going much later than 12-8 in most drafts, right? Yeah, like Coleman was listed there. I love Legette, man. I love Legette. I was hoping he made it back. 140. Okay, so a little bit optimistic thinking he would fall back, I guess. Harbaughs are different. Yeah, trust me. As soon as Jim came to Michigan, we saw that right away. They had that initial success, but never got over the hump. Obviously, that bad year in that COVID season. Then right after the COVID season, just completely turned around. I mean, we're talking about potentially firing that guy before COVID hit. So it's crazy that we're talking a few years later and we're literally national champions, Besides KC and Buffalo, what are your favorite landing spots for mid to late first round receivers? I mean, the Cowboys are a glaring spot. I'm going to say this multiple times. They do release Michael Gallup this offseason. Brandon Cooks on a 1-year deal. I understand people may be pessimistic. If they don't bring back Dak, like they are the stupidest franchise in the league. Like I feel like it's a lot of talk right now. He's going to be back on the Cowboys, and we're not going to be worried about that. He's going to be extended at some point. You're getting Dak Prescott, first-round draft capital. You don't have the pressure right away to potentially be a true number 1 receiver with CeeDee Lamb there, but it's still an offense that should throw the ball over 600 times. So if we're talking about an AD Mitchell, we're talking about a Brian Thomas, we're talking about one of those back-end first type of wide receivers, play that X wide receiver role, be the big-time third-level threat for this offense that, quite frankly, the Cowboys need in town a ton. They need that big-frame, speedy wide receiver that can affect the third level. I feel like there's a possibility that, assuming because again, I keep saying Brian Thomas, AD Mitchell, because I do feel like they are the best fits, but let's just say one of them does get drafted to the Cowboys. Like we're talking about 10 plus touchdowns, 900 plus yards in the range of outcomes as a rookie, to be honest. And we're seeing some of the rookie backs go off the board. So they're starting to get valued appropriately despite what the ADP says. So, I mean, I hate Quentin Johnson, but he might have to be the pick here, right? Like He's falling past 16 picks past ADP. Again, like I'm not in, but that's our best way to create correlation here, unless we take a stab at potentially one of the rookies coming. He's our wide receiver 6 in this build, so not terrible. I mean, Roman Wilson could potentially be an option later on as well. We'll just see if this guy takes Quentin Johnson. What tight ends are available for the most part? We could just end off our build with a Mayer. Will Levis is still available. We can wait till our next pick. So we have Stafford. We have Herbert. Just because we have Herbert, I'm going to mix in a texture with Quentin Johnson, 16 picks past ADP. But just so you guys know, I'm doing this because I have Herbert. That's the only reason I can give. And to be honest, for as much of a QJ hater as I am already, it doesn't even feel good despite getting him almost 2 rounds past ADP. Roman Wilson goes with the next pick. So that was pretty interesting. But we have, what is this? A 2-4-6-1 right now, Spicy? Did I do my math right? So, yeah, 13 rounds we drafted. 2-4-6-1. Okay. So we probably need at least 2 or 3 more running backs, 1 more wide receiver, and at 1 more tight end. So 2, 5, 2, 3. It's 20-round draft. Okay, right. It's 20-round draft. So we're probably doing a 3 tight end build regardless, so we'll need 2 more. Okay, we will see what's available here. Honestly, any position other than quarterback, I'd say, is in play. So let's look at the running backs again real quick. Maybe like a Corum's available or something like that. Yeah, like Corum. Yeah, he's drafted. Okay. So where is his ADP? 130, and we're at, okay. So he goes a little bit earlier than this range. That's good knowledge. Can you scroll down the board at running back? I just want to see maybe guys we can take past this round that might be available. Like Bucky's not awful. I mean, Estime is the clear one for me. Estime is the clear. Sticks out like a sore thumb here. Go down. Okay, so we're going to be taking a receiver most likely at this next pick. It's the running back position there. The guys I would rather wait on. I like Jalen Polk a lot here, but he does go a little bit later. I think so. Pearsall is going to get the buzz, but I like Polk a lot. I'd go Polk. Does say his ADP is 179, so technically we're reaching on texture 19 picks, but I'm cool with doing that on a guy that I believe in, like Jalen Polk, and we're talking about the 14th round. So, yeah, let's mix that in. Definitely Estime is in consideration at the next pick. His ADP is 194. Holy shit. Yeah, that guy's rookie FC. Holy Christ. Guy's rookie FC. Corum goes 130 usually. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, let me see here. So we do have the 2-4-7-1. Okay, so we probably need another running back in these next couple rounds, I would say. And the other thing that we'll need is at least one, probably two more tight ends. So Will Levis goes. Oh, I was hoping he'd fallen back. Damn! If I had known Will Levis would go, I would take that pick and then hope that Polk had fallen back, knowing the ADP. So that is really unfortunate. Can we check the rest of our team to see what type of correlation we can build here, Spicy? So we have the Rams, we have the Chargers correlation. So I mean, we can. I guess it's all rookies and Laporta. What running backs do we have again? I mean, like we can build the JJ McCarthy and hope the Pats take him. To be honest, so that's kind of gross. I honestly think if Michael Mayer falls back, Michael Mayer is an instant pick. 15th round, Michael Mayer, sign me the hell up. Justin Fields going off the board. What, 3 picks after Will Levis is pretty crazy, especially knowing that Will Levis is going to be starting from day one. So see here. Can you scroll up the board? I just kind of want to see what these starts look like and give the audience a look at here. So, like I mentioned at the top of the show or the top of the live stream, top 3 picks are most likely going to be your tier. 4 to 8 roughly are going to be your tier. As much like Puka, I can't put him in that tier with Amonra, Bijan, Jefferson, etc. There, Puka to honestly, like AJ Brown goes at the 12, but I would probably at least take the running backs, possibly. I mean, I'd say the other receivers, AJ Brown goes over, so I don't mind that take here. But I'd probably take Kyron at least over him, and Barkley, and possibly Taylor. Okay. Were there any screaming values? I mean, Marvin falling to the 21 is pretty interesting. I feel like this guy could potentially be a top 15 pick by the time that redraft rolls around, especially given the right landing spot. Malik Neighbors as well going at the 3-4. Should have knew right off the bat that he would be drafting some more rookies at that spot, but Shea Levy, Sam Laporta. So Rashid Rice still goes at the 310 in this draft. That is really interesting. And he pairs Rashid Rice, Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes. Like a lot of risk there, but a lot of upside if he's able to hit on that. So kind of like that combination there. All right, so let's see back who's available again. Vidor Dave just times out. Do you think Brooks Doctors is smokescreen possibly push him the board because they want a more explosive back like Sermon or Wright? Thoughts? Sermon, like Trey Sermon. I honestly I feel like he's fine, to be honest. With Brooks for reference, his doctor JJ McCarthy does go, and so does Michael Mayer. Oh God, okay. The Cowboys doctor actually performed the surgery, so he's gonna have the most insight on that situation. So we'll see how it rolls. I expect him to still be at least a top 75 pick and possibly a top 50 pick, but we'll see if he potentially falls. Algier's not a bad shout if he falls, I would say, as a contingent running back at this spot. Maybe see if there's some rookie running backs available too. Like SMA is the clear one that sticks out to me. What quarterbacks are available? Because we do probably have to wrap up one more. Like Bryce Young could be interesting to backfill a correlation with. Like his so start Bryce Young. And click Carolina in here. Like maybe like Thielen is available. Thielen's probably gone, but we'll see. Is Thielen available? Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen does go. So he just went off the board. Okay, very interesting. Pearsall just went to, I believe. Otherwise, I would say we could maybe make. Oh no. Let's see what we got autoed. Yeah, refresh it will be good. Okay, we're cool with estimate there. We're cool with estimate. Cowboys doctor did Brooks surgery tampering. I mean, to be fair, they don't own the doctor. Like if the doctor wants to take other clients, he can. So, but like that was a similar situation, to be fair, with what happened with Jalen Smith, who initially we got the glowing review. He was going to be good. We took him in the second round. Initially in his career, he looked like a really good pick, and then obviously his knee basically eroded on him. So we'll see what happens there. What tight ends are available here, Spicy? Because we will have to mix in one more at some point. But I like the post type sleeper value on Noah Fant. JT Sanders is solid too. Greg Dulcich, Ben Sinnott. Those are probably the lead names, I would say. So Fant, Sanders, Sinnott, and Dulcich, if Dulcich is there. Dulcich might be on the board still. Like, why is Dulcich the tight end 35? Like, that's insane to me. If we can finish off this draft with Dulcich and Sinnott as tight ends 2 and 3 next to Sam Lapora, like I am absolutely happy about that. Yeah, we do have to queue up. I don't know why it's glitching like this right now. Is Bryce Young go? Oh my god. What other quarterbacks are available, Spicy? Like we're Russ. Are we actually gonna have to take Russ? Like, do we have any Steelers? Maybe AD Mitchell goes to the Steelers and we're Galaxy branding Russ here. Yeah, Javon Baker's a good pick. Honestly, what do we have? A 2-5-7-1. Yeah, I don't mind taking Fant, I guess. He's just at the top of the board. I don't really want to overthink it. We'll go Fant. And refresh. I don't know why the app is doing this right now. Okay. So go back. So we need probably one more running back. Estimate we got already, which is nice. We probably want to end with 6. So we need one more running back, one more tight end, and one more quarterback for sure, and then possibly probably just need one more of each position. I would say, given the context of this build, could go with like a Bucky Irving if he falls. What are the receivers available as well? We might want to close off with one that's pretty strong. Corley is solid at this pick, especially if he gets the right landing spot, could potentially increase a lot of value. Jalen McMillan 6 out. Like Jalen McMillan is the pick, assuming he falls. Jalen McMillan is my wide receiver 11 in this class. So the fact that he has a 214 ADP is outrageous in my opinion. Yeah, like we don't have Young. Otherwise, he would have been pretty interesting. And then obviously we talked to us on the tight ends. Refresh the board again because it's on 0-0-0-0. Yeah, I don't know why the timer is kind of glitching like that right now, to be honest. So we see Juwan Johnson, Ty Chandler, Malachi Corley, Hunter Henry go off the board following our Noah Fant pick. Pretty standard, I would say. We did reach on Noah Fant a little bit, but we kind of had to make the pick based off the timer, but that's okay. That's more than fine. We'll see. Malachi Corley does go, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. This is the most I've seen the app buffer. All good. Put McMillan to the top of the board just to make sure in case we get autoed, we don't miss out on him. Top running back on the board, I would say to quickly look at as well, and quarterback, of course. So go down. Let's see if there's any hidden names. Like maybe some of the rookies. Yeah, I don't like Madison. I like Isaiah Davis later on. Maybe Isaiah Davis or Isaac Garendo we can mix in. So we can absolutely wait, I would say, because they're probably buried here. Isaiah Davis is there. Get him in the queue. And is Isaac Garendo available? I'd assume so. Yeah. If not, just type in GUE. GU. It's AA, yeah. He's not even in the system. Okay. Quarterback? So, because we will need a quarterback. Yeah, Russ is still available. Like we do need him or Daniel Jones, I would say, because we did push the quarterback 3 envelope pretty far. And I would say refresh the app when you get a chance. Yeah. Again, I guess. What the heck? All right. So Chega Conquo goes. Malik Washington does go. So I'm a little bit nervous. 7 picks away, especially knowing that Dave is taking every one of the rookies. But we'll see what falls back here. I definitely do think tight end 2 and 3 we possibly just take with those last 2 picks. Because worst case scenario, we do end up with one of those tight ends, possibly both. So we'll see what's there. Refresh it again. What is going on with it? Do we get any more comments? Trade went through for 208 plus Mooney for Ridley. Let's go. Let's go, bro. Go win that championship, brother. And Jalen McMillan goes. No way. Check the wide receiver position. If I knew Jalen McMillan was available so much longer ago, I would have taken him. Click wide receiver, Spicy. We're going to have to add in a couple more to the queue. As the app is also glitching as well. Checked on my phone, it's freezing on the app too. Yeah, that's weird, Spicy. That is weird. Click wide receiver. So we're definitely going to need a rookie because these guys have no upside. Keep going down. Like Brennan Rice. Oh, man. Fuck. He was clearly the best rookie available, wasn't he, McMillan? Let me see. Is there anybody that's like sleeping down here? Damn. Ugh. Got last round Taj Washington, I guess, but we're kind of getting gross here. All right, go back to the top. We might have to take one soon so we don't get into that mess. Yeah, go up. Jesus, man. This is crazy right now. Go down a little bit more. Like, let's... Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's interesting. It's probably Kendrick Bourne of those receivers. I definitely think we just grab the rookie back and the quarterback first, though. Who are the quarterbacks on Balling Out's team? Richardson to so he sniped on Levis. Okay. Conklin. Okay, so we go with Davis, I would say here first, and then we take the quarterback or the receiver. Yeah, Isaiah Davis works. What? Yeah, we're definitely going to have to play through the key right now. That is weird, though, Spicy. Wide receiver room is now Tyreek, Devonta, Addison, Reed, Ridley, Dotson, and Josh Palmer. Yeah, that's a solid room for sure. And you're going to take Rome with Doomsday. So you're going to have Tyreek, Rome, Devontae, Addison, Reed as your main, starters and flexes with guys like Ridley. I mean, Ridley too actually is going to work in. Yeah, no, you are really set at wide receiver. I like that. Like that move, especially too knowing that you need to consolidate there. I like that. Good thing we got Isaiah Davis at the 201. Really feel good about that. We're gonna have to refresh again. Oh man. Oh boy. Dobbins does go. Yeah, Russell Wilson's probably the best available at quarterback. I'm honestly just gonna take Kendrick Bourne though. I would say, to be honest. Because, ideally, I'd want to leave with a 3 quarterback build, but at the same time, we do have Herbert and Stafford, which I feel confident about. So, it would probably need a 3 quarterback build, to be honest, actually. It's either Russell Wilson or Bourne, I would say. For sure. Man, that sucks that we missed out on Levis, though, I will say. Does indeed suck that we missed out on Levis and Jalen McMillan. Holy. All right, so those are the main guys. Check tight end in case Dulcich do not make it back. If the app lets you right now. Russ, go. Yeah, I think we got to play it safe and take Russ. I don't like it, but I think we do got to do that. Oh, great. It's not our turn to pick. I'm pretty sure it is. Yep. Another move to make would be Reed for Bryce straight up since I need a QB2. Yeah, if you can do that straight up, I'm absolutely doing that, to be honest. Knowing that you need a QB2, knowing that you have those wide receivers, just give me Bryce Young for that cost. Give me Bryce Young. Like if we miss out on tight end, I guess like there's some backdoor options, so we're not completely pigeonholed. Like Tucker Kraft, like potentially even like if we scroll down a little bit, could take the shot on like a Hayden Hurst here because he does have that Chargers correlation. Will Disley here, like we're not completely left for dead if we miss out on tight end, which is nice. So we'll definitely save Dulcich and Sanat for our last picks and kind of see what falls back. So that's what 233 would be 19th round. Okay. All right. By the way, I appreciate all the 173 of you in here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, watching on Twitter, make sure you leave a like. It does help a lot in the algorithm. But let's get back to the draft. Daniel Jones goes right next, so pretty happy that we do leave with Russell Wilson. Is that his 6th quarterback? Is that QB6? Is that QB6 off the board? That's interesting. Interesting. QB5 off the board. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, we'll take another quarterback going off the board because we do have our main 3, so we feel confident with that. We have what, 6 running backs, 7 receivers. So yeah, one more tight end for sure, and probably either. Yeah, I mean, if Kendrick Bourne makes it back, yeah, we're set. Okay, so we're set. We're set. I forgot we had Noah Fant actually, to be honest. So we only need one more tight end. That's a call that I actually forgot we made. Fair play. So we actually just need one of Dulcich Sanat to get back. So we're absolutely going to punt that at least to the 19th, possibly 20th round. Yeah, refresh for sure. I don't know why it's glitching. Penix goes, Shipley goes, Rice goes. Okay. All right. So Bourne is going to be the main receiver. We'll see if any other rookies are mixed in there, maybe if we miss out on Bourne, but ideally we can leave this round with Kendrick Bourne. He should be going around this range. What pick are we? 223? I think we were. No, we were. Yeah, 229, 225, somewhat around there. 225 and 232. So those are our last 2 picks. Got it. Okay. All right. We are about an hour and 15 into the stream. So most likely the question asked earlier, by the way, damn it, Dulcich goes. We were asked earlier if we're doing another draft. I'm probably going to get off. I'm not going to be doing another Dynasty rookie draft after this, but we should be live either tomorrow or possibly Sunday. Actually, no, we're going to be live tomorrow and Monday. Tomorrow, Bush is going to be able to do the Dynasty draft with me, whether that's a 1 quarterback startup, a super flex startup. We're going to be talking off camera, figuring what we want to do. But since we did a 1 quarterback last time, I would guess it would most likely be a super flex. And then Monday, we got a little special collab stream planned. We'll reveal some more details probably on tomorrow's stream when Corey is here. So Hilaire goes, Dulcich goes, Pierce goes. Damian Pierce, 19th round now. That's sad to see, knowing he was a 4th rounder last year. He's going in the 19th. I mean, I guess like with the new contract with Joe Mixon, people are bringing that in. But to be honest, at the 19th round, I would take shots every single time. So I think he's still pretty solid value at that point. Yeah, Kendrick Bourne sticks out like a sore thumb of these wide receivers. Like Kendrick Bourne has been the Pats' best wide receiver for a while. Like if I go to his per games and his grades, like he's been good for a while. Not to mention he has that best ball archetype of that big outside wide receiver that can work down the field. So I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that if we're able to get him. And if we get sniped here, I'd be pretty sad. Don't do it balling out. Don't do it. Don't do it balling out. Don't take him. If he snipes me here after sniping Levis, I'd be fuming. All right, we'll see where he leans. Yeah, good thing you're refreshing because I do not trust it right now. Yes. Take the stinky Zach Ertz so we can get the Kendrick Bourne, who's also less stinky. Oh, man. So, yeah, Ben Sanat clearly sticks out like a sore thumb. We'll put Kraft in the queue as well. What is the latest rumors on Darren Waller? Like, is he expected to retire? Darren Waller news. Possibly retire after his thoughts on trade from Los. He's still undecided about his future an hour ago, posted by Sports Illustrated. So he's undecided. That's interesting. I mean, obviously, Ben Sinnot's going to be the main piece here, but just if Ben Sinnot and Tucker Kraft were to go, like, what are our best options? He could go either way. I mean, 20th round, if he does fall back there and Kraft and Sinnot are gone, I don't mind mixing it in, but realistically, aside from that, I'm good. Aside from that, I am good. Did you hear the news on Rashid Rice? His vehicle had 10.6 grams. Oh no, man. Bush is here literally at the end of the stream.
Dude, I thought I got in here soon enough, to be honest.
Hey, we got a pick left. We're basically just saying Sinnot or Tucker Kraft. By the way, the app has been like crashing every pick, so it hasn't been great, but we move. Apparently,
I did see Underdog put out a bunch of messages saying that like shit was down and stuff.
Yeah, just unfortunate timing. Also, dude, a guy drafted 5 quarterbacks and still ended up sniping Will Levis.
Tough.
Not great. By the way, apparently Ben is saying that Rashid Rice had 10.6 grams of marijuana at the time of the wreck, which 10.6 grams is not a lot, but at the same time, when you get into a crash, that is not good at all for your implications.
No, not great. Not great.
Man, and he already admitted that he was the driver.
Yeah, I would assume they would have tested him. I guess he probably hauled ass though, right? They wouldn't have got his.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have tested him the night of. And if they do a drug test now, like, I mean, he's gonna have it in his system for a while. So
he got into the crash and just ran away from his car. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, is that?
I'm assuming that's why he like abandoned the scene, is because he was high or something, probably. But not great.
Ben Sinnot for sure. We'll show Corey the team here. A couple snipes along the way, but like with the product that we were able to get from here. Herbert, Stafford, waited QB3 to get Russ. He was the last starting quarterback available, I believe. Got your boy Saquon, Ramondre, Jay Brooks, Edwards, Estime, Isaiah Davis for the running back position. Wide receivers go Puka, Roma Dunze, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, A.D. Mitchell, Quentin Johnson, because he fell 16 picks past ADP to pair with Herbert, Polk, and Kendrick Bourne. And then tight ends, we got Sam Laporta, Noah Fant, and Ben Sinnot.
I like it. That's not bad. Yes, not a bad looking squad there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Interesting looking team. So I'm an idiot. I thought you would have been 10 minutes into this stream because Mexico doesn't have daylight savings time. So I assumed you were only 10 minutes into the stream or whatever, because it's 12:06 my time right now. So I'm like, oh, okay, he probably just started the stream. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I can just hop in here. And then you're like, actually, no, it's the end of the stream. I'm like, oh, right. We're an hour behind.
Yeah, you're good, bro. You're good. I mean, now that you're here, if you want, Spicy's got to leave. But if you want to do like a dynasty rookie draft, so you don't just hop on for no reason.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We'll have other streams that I'll actually be on throughout the.
I told the stream. I said basically tomorrow we're going to be doing either a one quarterback or superflex. Probably going to be a superflex startup, and we got a little surprise collab stream scheduled on Monday. So.
Yeah, we may have to figure out something Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the 2 days. We could probably go no video one of those 2 days, but just because I won't be home until Thursday. Well, like Thursday, I'll probably put out, Troy Franklin or whoever the next tail of the tape's going to end up being. But Wednesday and Tuesday, we won't have anything. So we'll probably do something one of those days.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Benjamin asked a question. I'm actually not logged in here, so I can't click it.
What would you expect on top of T-Law if I was down tiering from Burrow? He said he got an offer of T-Law plus Pickens for Burrow. I would say given market value, you need at least a first round of value. And as much as I like Pickens, like I would want the liquidity more than I would want Pickens here.
See, it's funny because these are 2 quarterbacks that I'm above market on.
Yeah.
I like Burrow more than the market does, and I like Lawrence more than the market does. I mean, we're in our startup right now, and this is about the range that we're picking right now that I expect Pickens to go off the board, which is like the early to mid 5th. And I took Lawrence at 204. And Burrow went at 106 or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the question would be, do you want the 204 and the 508 or whatever Pickens is going to go at for the 106? And to me, it's like, I think I'm comfortable making that move if I was a Burrow manager in a startup. Like if I was at 106 and somebody offered me 2.4 and 506 or whatever for the 106, I think I might consider doing that. But after the startup is over, like assuming all these guys are on rosters already, like you said, I might want like a 2 on top of that if I was the Burrow manager.
Respectable. By the way, I do see. Is that your first A chance share?
It is my first HN share.
Nice.
I
Let's
think
go.
I'm trying to think if I have him. So it's unfortunate because like every league that I would have gotten HN in last year, I was slightly below market value on him. Obviously a mistake in hindsight. But it wasn't really that bad. Like I had HN, I think ranked as like my 111 or 112 in rookie drafts last year. And I think he just happened to go off the board slightly ahead of me.
By the way, Spicy, I appreciate you for running that piece out. He just said he had got out. But yeah, no, the decision point last year was if you took it was Charbonnet versus HM pretty much. That was like the pivotal point at the 1-2 turn.
Well, I think Levis and who were the wide receivers in that area that may have factored in?
Mingo for some people.
I mean, Downs was the guy that I ended up with a lot of, but I can't remember. I think what ended up happening,
the tight ends, Mayer.
Yeah. I didn't get a lot of picks that would have been HN anyway. Like I didn't have a lot of 110, 111, 112s last year. And the picks that I did have there, I believe I took Levis in one league at like 111 or 112. And then I think I actually ended up trading back in a lot of situations because I didn't view a huge difference between HN and Charbonnet. And you could get Charbonnet sometimes in the early second round. And also too, I could get Downs there as well, which Downs is the guy I ended up with a lot of last year. So for me, I didn't get a lot of those picks to begin with. A lot of the picks I ended up getting were 107s to 109s. That's why I ended up with so much Addison, QJ, and Zay Flowers. And then I traded back a lot of my 110, 111, 112s. And a lot of the 110, 111, 112s I got were not my own first, like competitive teams where I could have just added a guy. It was just like rebuilds that I have a shit ton of picks in.
Yeah, which makes a ton of sense. By the way, if you guys are curious on how the startup is going along, I'll just share the board real quick because I mean that's the conversation point that you guys might get some value from. So we officially started this up on Wednesday or Tuesday,
something like that. Yeah, I think it was the day before I left.
Tuesday, maybe. So of course, Danny 101 does get 101. So nice little Josh Allen here. Obviously, you do get the 109. I was curious what you're going to do because I'm like, we had this conversation. I'm like, if it comes to it, are you going to take the receiver? Or are you going to take the quarterback?
Death board. That was a death board for me. It ended up being a tier break. Herbert was the last of the tier prior to. So my decision point for me, because I have Chase wide receiver 1 between Chase and Caleb Williams or 101 was my decision point. So I already have a shit ton of 101s. So I'm like, you know what? I'll get another Jamar Chase share. I believe Tone Setter Truth is the only Chase share that I had currently. So I was like, you know what? I'll just take another Jamar Chase share. I think my thought process was I should be able to get one of Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, or Trevor Lawrence in the second round. Worst case scenario, if I don't get one of those guys, that means that Jefferson may have fell or 101 or 102 may have fell. So I'll just take those guys in that situation, but I ended up getting Lawrence there. I really like the value I got on AJ Brown. I know you're a little bit lower on AJ Brown, but to me, he has no business being in the third round, to be honest. I think he should still be a second rounder. So I liked the value I got on him there. In hindsight, had I known AJ Brown would have been there, I tried like hell to trade up for Jahmyr Gibbs during this part of the draft. I really tried to get to 3-1, 3-2, or 3-3 or whatever that area to get Jahmyr Gibbs. Had I secured Jahmyr Gibbs in that situation and not given up my 409, I would have loved to have ended up with Jahmyr Gibbs and Devontae Smith, who I ended up I have Smith ranked about the same as DJ Moore, but knowing that I had AJ Brown, obviously I went with DJ Moore instead. But had I gotten Jahmyr Gibbs, Devontae Smith to start this team, Chase, Lawrence, Gibbs, Smith, I would have liked it a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, I think contextually that makes a lot of sense. By the way, I think we were talking about like 3-4 versus 3-1. I just couldn't let Puka fall because I mean you know how high I am on Puka. So for me, 25th overall, like you said, AJ Brown has no business being in the third round. That's how I view Puka, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think neither of them should be in the third round.
So I was happy there. My decision point, like you said, you were hoping Gibbs fell. I was actually stuck between Puka and Gibbs, but knowing the context of this league, if you guys want, I can show it right now. 3 wide receivers, 3 flexes. Knowing that I already started quarterback, and knowing that the wide receiver value, especially in this type of room, is more likely to be drafted higher comparatively to the running backs because it's, an FSC league.
It is, for what it's worth, though, this is a 0.25 for first downs for running backs, so that factors in. My thought process with my picks was I wanted 3 receivers in the first 4 rounds because I've been talking about tinkering with the idea of going with almost like a quarterback. type of build, and Lawrence is a little sketchy just because he's not quite the elite quarterback, maybe that like a Burrow or something would be, but at the same time I feel pretty good about that. So my plan here, again, it's probably shitty of me to divulge all this information right now. My plan here is to go hero, QB, and RB here, where I traded up, as you can see there, 411 Devon Achane. I'm hoping that I can fill wide receivers through my flex and maybe get a QB, and probably get a QB2 at some point in the next 3 to 4 rounds here as well.
Initially, I was planning on going with a hero QB, but I was able to get a falling Kyler Murray, and I kind of just changed my plans. Because if Kyler Murray goes off the board, or if I'm unable to trade up for Kyler at the 2-6, I'm far more likely, because I have a ton of Dak, because I personally don't value Purdy at the 2-9 area. I would have just smashed, Garrett Wilson and maybe traded up for Puka and ended up with 2 of those receivers. But I mean, Kyler Murray falling, I'm looking at it like, okay, it is a 3 wide receiver, 3 flex league. Depth absolutely matters. But at the same time, if I'm rocking Josh Allen and Kyler Murray in my super flex and they're giving me 50 to 55 points in a 6-point passing touchdown league, like that's going to make up the difference there. So that's kind of why I'd go with Kyler. And obviously that affects my decision with Puka. I would say the real contentious decision that I make, because for the most part, you say Allen first round, Kyler second round, Puka third round. Like, I don't feel like many people are going to have problems with that. People might say, well, why would you go with the 108 rather than maybe one of the receivers? It was a tough decision. I would say I was really stuck between 108, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, and Devon Achane. The reason why I go with 108 here is, although I prefer these receivers to the next, wide receiver 4 in the class, whether that's for me personally right now, Brian Thomas, or potentially who the Bills take at wide receiver, the Chiefs take at wide receiver, someone like that, I would slightly prefer more to Smith to them straight up. But knowing that 108 could potentially be quarterback liquidity in this room that some people are trying to punt, there could be the aspect people start running the wave of quarterbacks. They feel like they missed out. And rather than having... Right, I think Bowers will be gone at the 107.
He might not be, though. Like, if McCarthy goes to the Vikings, it's possible that Bowers goes 108.
That's fair. But, like, regardless, so whether it's Bowers, let's say Bowers, or let's just say, worst case scenario for the context of my team specifically, it's the asset that is JJ McCarthy. Then at that point, it opens you up. Okay, if you're not taking JJ McCarthy at the 108, maybe you trade down to the 110 plus a second, 111 plus a second, 109 plus a second, something like that. Or you could potentially say, hey, after the draft, this guy realizes he missed out on that second tier of quarterbacks. I now have that piece, knowing the 108 can't lose value, that I can trade on the market. So, yeah, it's a little bit riskier knowing that I don't have that wide receiver in the 3 wide receiver start league, but I do feel like it'll open me up for as active of a trader as I am to potentially make a future move. Or worst case scenario, I do have to make the pick and I just take the wide receiver 4 off the board. I'm not going to be too upset about it.
Yeah, to me, I think it's a smidge early for 108.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even 107 potentially too, going a bit early. Like, I think that more, and it's tough because some people are taking competitive running backs here, like BMAC taking ETN and stuff. Like, I personally would take the 107, 108 over ETN, and Barkley too. Schmidt went, but I also would take Moore and Smith over those guys as well. So it's just more a factor of like what their teams needed. I was actually hoping I could get Barkley to fall back to me at the 5-4 potentially, but I don't know. I ended up trading up from 5-4, like I said, because the top of my board was Achane, Kyron Williams. And I'm like, I need to get one of these running backs, I think. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel confident in taking a 6-4 or a 6, wherever I pick next, 6-9 Rashad White or something as my hero RB. I'm hoping that I wanted Gibbs, like I said. I wanted Gibbs bad to be my hero RB, and I didn't end up getting him, which I'm really annoyed with, because had I gotten Gibbs, I would have felt a lot better about my draft. But the people that I was trying to trade with just wanted way too much from me because they wanted Gibbs also. So
for sure. Well, I ended up making the move because I'll tell you, I moved basically from the 312 to the 3-1. So if we're doing it in the context of Jalen Waddle for Puka Nacua, if I go back to the deal that I made, if I can check it here, league past.
If you go to trades, I think it should say trade history too.
Oh, I'm dumb. I didn't even realize.
If you go to review, you should just be able to go to trade history.
Oh, fair. Accepted, complete. So I believe I made this one with Jared. Is this it?
Yeah. So you gave up your second round. You ended up giving up your second, your 25 second and third.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a cost to move up. Basically, the difference here is the pick swap between the second and the third was the 312 to the 212. The difference between the 8th and the 7th, I believe, was the 801 versus I have the 801, the 812 versus a mid seventh, I believe it was. Yeah. So I gave him, or actually, no, I got the 801. I gave him a late seventh or some bullshit like that. Ended up working out like that. Basically, how it numbed down to in my valuation was Jalen Waddle plus a second and a third for Puka, which I would do every single time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I'm interested to see, like, so I guess what's your strategy at this point in time? Are you going competitive?
So basically, I have the quarterback on your
team real quick. I just want to see everybody that you have.
I'm pretty flexible to go either way because I have all my startup picks. I just don't have my 2 and my 3.
Right. So that's a little sketchy to me.
Yeah.
Like if you click on my team, you can see that like I read the room here. By the time I took Chase, I kind of had the idea, like, especially knowing how, like, the top 3 rookie picks were off the board before my second pick. I was like, this room's going to be quite high on the rookie class. I figured it would be. And I'm like, you know what? This is like, I mean, for full disclosure too, like this stakes of this league in terms of the buy-in are higher than any dynasty league I'm in except for one. So I was like, you know what? This might be the spot that I want to potentially go competitive here. So I wanted to build out a good competitive shell of Chase, Lawrence, and AJ Brown. AJ Brown, obviously the old guy in that room. He's young enough that I could still maybe punt 1 year with him. But then by the time I got to the DJ Moore pick, I'm like, you know what? I think this is going to be a good competitive board because knowing that the 108 was off the board before I got DJ Moore, I was like, this is going to be the type of league I think I want to go competitive in. So for me, selling my first round or second or third round rookie picks in 2025 is, I think people think it's a good idea to do that when you're going competitive because you get extra startup value and that kind of thing. For me, I actually think it makes your competitive window harder because having your own first, second, and third round picks in 2025 is it gives you buying power during the season, right? Like I would prefer, because that first rounder mid-season is going to get me more than it would get me in the startup. At least that's the way I look at it. Like I think I can get, say, I don't know. Let's look at like B-Mac's team, for example. Let's say his team isn't competitive mid-season and I can buy Tyreek off of him for a projected late first next year. Like, I think there's no way I could get away with that during the startup is my point. You know what I mean? Like I could get away with it mid-season though.
And that's fair. Like if I'm going to move my second and third, which I did here, it's going to be to move up for, as much as I like Jalen Waddle, he's kind of in, I've heard Todd for Dynasty Superflex on Twitter refer to it as like the wide receiver glob. Basically, the wide receivers like 11 to 24, 11 to 25.
The turnover year to year is pretty high.
I view on a similar tier. So for me personally, the way I contextualize it, if I'm giving up the 2 and 3 to upgrade to what I think is an appreciating asset, a set asset there with Puka Nacua, a guy who had 1,400 yards as a rookie, like I'm cool moving it in that context. I'm not cool moving it in the context of I'm moving up 5 picks to move from the wide receiver 18 to the 14. I do view the tier break as being worth that pick. Also, too, it opened me up because it was actually the 212 I got, not the 301. I got the 301 in a different deal, I believe. So the 212, it opened me up basically to getting Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair assessment of the moves. Yeah, like I'm assuming people are going to just really start hammering wide receivers soon because
and quarterbacks.
Yeah, the next tier of quarterback just started there with Goff going off the board. So I'm wondering when people are going to panic pick, Levis, Bryce Young types and that kind of thing. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie because I don't pick till 6-9 and I have one quarterback on my roster. So I might have to be like really going hero quarterback potentially.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that kind of played into my decision with the 108 because the way I viewed it is like, would I be less happy with the receiver more than likely to DJ Moore, to Achane, to Devontae Smith? Yeah, I evaluate that.
No guaranteed that that's either going to be McCarthy or Bowers or Odunze though.
But that's probably what I mean.
Odunze, but probably Bowers or McCarthy.
I'm most likely going to be able to trade the pick, but I'm saying like worst case scenario, if I had to make the pick and I had to take a receiver, like I'm not as dissatisfied taking my wide receiver 22 in Dynasty over my wide receiver 16 because there's not much of a negligible difference.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I went with Chase Brown and DJ Moore was because I thought I would get ahead of the receiver run. Like had I gone with Chase, like obviously, like I said, I would have loved to get Chase, Lawrence, Gibbs, and Devontae Smith. But had I done that, I might be walking into that wide receiver glob that you kind of talked about where like I feel like I need to draft wide receivers in like the mid rounds and I might not be getting as good of value. At least having 3 receivers on my roster already maybe makes it so that when people go and hammer wide receivers, I get my QB2 to fall to me, or I get an elite tight end to fall to me, or I get another running back potentially to fall to me. Because I think having Achan is nice because I have like a lockdown stud or whatever, but it's possible that Kenneth Walker rips down to like the 8th round or something, and I could take him as well.
Oh, for sure. And that was basically my decision for why I avoided running back there too. It would have been closer for me to take a Moore or a Smith, knowing that the context of this room. Bria
She stuck her tongue out at me.
Oh, yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Knowing the context of this room, knowing the valuation, like I'm expecting by the time that 607 pick that I have rolls around, we're probably going to be in the 2nd round of rookie picks. We're probably going to be wide receiver 25 plus in Dynasty, most likely at that point. And it's more likely that a running back in the next tier falls than it is anything else, I would say.
Yeah. I actually really like what Arnold's doing. This is his
I
first
love it.
Dynasty league. Full disclosure, like click on his team right now. So he was the one who traded. He's the one who traded down with me to get Achan, and he has 5.2 and 5.4 coming up here. I mean, I'm not going to say who he wants, but I'll just say like they're in that cluster of wide receivers that are the best available players on that board right now. So if he walks away with 2 good wide receivers here, and he walks out of this draft with Caleb Williams, Anthony Richardson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and like his top 2 receiver guys that he's going to get here, pretty good start to your first Dynasty draft, I would say. Because Caleb at 111 to me, I view as a value. I think Richardson at 2.2 is appropriate value. I think a lot of people view Richardson a little bit higher than that, but that's about where I have Richardson ranked. So I like that.
By the way, I texted in the private chat. I'm gonna take a guess at who it is.
That's not him.
No.
Okay. He does like him potentially with that 5.4, but his 5.2 is specifically he wants one specific guy, and I'll type who it is right now.
Okay, which makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. The reason why I guessed the other guys because I know he had him in a league that you were in with him, right?
No, that was D-Bell.
D-Bell had him. Well, I remember he would talk about trying to trade for him from D-Bell for a while.
Maybe, yeah. That might be.
I've heard him say his name before. I don't know if it was in your league or if it was in a different league, but I've heard him mention Nico before. Obviously, I know D-Bell had him, but I know Arnie's been interested in him. Obviously, I'm not going to say the name because there might be people watching. I mean, who knows? Seymour is on the clock right now, and he's
well, he
online.
also fits his build too, this player. So we're not going to say who it is. Ben and Benjamin and Spicy Hot had like questions in the chat there.
Yeah, my bad. Owner is willing to consider T-Law plus Olave, but I have to add to Burrow. I was thinking of adding someone like Addison. If I can get a small piece or late capital from
Addison's too. Can you do T-Law and Olave for like Burrow in a second or equivalently valued?
Yeah, around that
asset. Like if it's a 2nd round caliber asset in terms of rookie pick plus Burrow, I like the T-Law and Olave side there.
Yeah. Would you guys trade the 209, 409 for Deontay Johnson?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great move.
If you're contending. Whoever started Caleb, Richardson, Gibbs, I like it. Yeah, that's Arnie.
Big Arnold. I guess he didn't get I like it. I like JT. Yeah, Benjamin said that's his roster for reference. If you want to click on his roster, I just want to see if I can fashion a trade here. Like
Burrow, Russ.
Dotson's the perfect guy. I don't know if Dotson's gonna have a lot of value because he's like kind of on the downslope right now. But if you could throw in either Chubb, Roschon, Dotson. I mean, Palmer probably doesn't have a lot of value, but I guess maybe if they're looking at the depth charts right now, he's technically the wide receiver 1 on the Chargers. So maybe somebody get excited about that. Any one of those assets on top of Burrow for Lawrence and Olave, even if you had to throw in like Burrow, Dotson, and a third for Olave and Lawrence, I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. There's my roster for reference. Yes, sir.
But anyways, yeah. I mean, little final Dynasty talk at the end of the stream. I forgot my tripod, by the way, Danny. So I literally have like a laundry basket, a box of Jenga, and a box of tea stacked up as my tripod right now.
Oh, brother, you should see. So when I had this mic initially, basically when it would show me lower on the webcam, I would always try to like prop myself up, but the mic would be so low. So I'd put a book down just to get it propped up. When we're using our webcams.
Yeah, classic.
Dude, I mean, the bookcase is gone, actually. I'm not sure if I've told you that.
Thank God.
Wait. Actually, we'll give a little bit of a look here.
Oh, yes. The bookcase is gone. We've been wanting the bookcase gone.
Now I'm just a floating head when I'm on the webcam.
But yeah, anyways, like Danny said, we should be live tomorrow. I don't know. Like I'm in Mexico, obviously. If you guys know anything about like Spanish culture, it's too goddamn hot to do anything in the afternoon. So we'll probably try and do the stream around, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. area, because that's when I'm inside, because like me and my girlfriend are both like early risers and we want to get out and do stuff during the morning. So we'll probably be doing a dynasty startup mock tomorrow. And then Danny said we'll have dynasty decisions on Sunday, probably a surprise guest on Monday for you and him, going to be doing that solo stream. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have to figure something out. Peek behind the curtain. Also, the wide receiver prospect model is coming along very nicely, to the point that I feel confident in saying it will be done by after the NFL draft, if not potentially even before. So I'm quite happy with how it's coming together right now. And like the traits section of the prospect model is finished. So the analytics and the draft capital data that we still have to collect, we're going to basically go back to like 2016, 2015 area, because we're trying to use new school data. Like I know there's people out there that use, prospect models that go back to like 2000 or 2007 or something like that. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that we have such better analytics measures now than we used to. So I would rather the sample size be smaller of the prospects that we're using, but have the metrics be more accurate or be more contextualized or be more individual of situation and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of the metrics that you'd have to use in 2000 prospect evaluation would be like basic stuff.
Well, I think that's twofold an advantage of simplifying the sample size. I agree with it being optimal. The reason why, number one, teams in general were handing first round draft capital to a lot worse prospects back then. If you were 6'4" and 200 pounds and ran in the 4.4s, you were probably going in the first round back in the 2005 NFL draft. Like that's just how it was going, pretty much. We saw
like
a lot of
time of Braylon Edwards would go high because he was both a good prospect and had the measurables. But for the most part, it was like if you could run fast and jump high and you were big, you would go high in the draft.
And the other one, of course, is, I mean, you've been scouting for a certain period of time. You haven't been scouting since 2005.
No,
so
I
don't want your own context built into that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I only have film grade. Like I'm only going to have a film grade for prospects going back to 2021 in the prospect model. Basically the way I allocated it was we're going to rely just on PFF receiving grades prior to that. As 10% of the model's total grade, but it'll only be 5% PFF receiving grades plus my historical grades going back from 2021, 22, 23, and then obviously in 24 when I actually run those prospects through it. But the nice thing will be you'll have the context of both my grades as well as the PFF receiving grades for the new school prospects. And obviously, as we get more years under our belt, then it becomes a bigger sample size of my prospect grades versus the model and that kind of stuff. And it should just be a lot of fun to see how these prospects stack up, even because, again, too, some people haven't been playing fantasy since 2007. You have no idea who a lot of these guys are. You know what I mean? Like knowing that we can say, the comps for, say, Adonai Mitchell is limited to Quentin Johnston, players that you'll recognize because you've only been playing fantasy. If you're listening to this hypothetically for like 7 or 8 years, you don't know prospects from 2001, 2002 or whatever, where it's like, okay, these prospect comparisons maybe aren't quite as deep as they would be if you had a bigger sample of wide receiver prospects, but at the same time, you'll know who they are because they're recent names.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So should be a lot of fun. Like I said, my goal while I'm on this trip, I'm here till next Wednesday. I'm hoping I can get this almost done by the time, at least the data collected, almost done by next Wednesday. Cause then that way, when I get back, I can run the 24 prospects through it. And I would like to try and get the running back prospect model done by the time rookie drafts are in session as well. It might be more challenging because it's like a shit ton of work, but at the same time, it would be cool to have those wide receivers and running backs to target and avoid videos, have a prospect model instead of the rinky-dink thing I was doing last year.
For sure. The other context, by the way, and Spicy brought this up to me, and I just contextualized it before the stream, is the NFL draft is in 20 days. The NFL draft is in less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, pretty soon.
Like that just, I don't know what that is. That just kind of like messed me up a little bit. I'm like, holy crap. Like we've been talking about this for a while and it almost feels like, it's like a month plus away, but like we're talking about less than 3 weeks, man. We're talking about 20 days. That Thursday night, that first round, where we obviously are going to be streaming throughout the freaking weekend, having a good time. So, I mean, we're going to talk about it more leading up to the point, but if you guys are interested in tagging into that stream, we do have a ton of fun in those analyzing the picks and the fantasy implications.
Oh, absolutely. So appreciate you guys for joining the stream. Again, we'll be live tomorrow doing a startup mock, so stay tuned for that. Should be around 3 p.m. Eastern, give or take. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming. Of course, if you guys are curious about the prospect model, all that kind of stuff will be available on flockfantasy.com, along with our rookie rankings, dynasty rankings, all that good stuff. Draft guide will be updated one last time before the NFL draft, as well as after the NFL draft. We'll put in sleepers and values and that kind of stuff as well. So check out all that stuff. Link down below in the description. But with that being said, peace out. We'll talk to you soon.